Can the economy of Japan really collapse after the yen plunged to the 24-year lowest level? This is what everyone's wondering about during these uncertain economic times. And what if you trade in yen or invest in yen? Should you be doing that or not? You will learn more about it in the video. But the question remains, why did the Japanese yen plunge to its lowest level? And what would it mean for Japan in the long term? Can a cheaper yen against the United States dollar make Japan a cheaper country to live in? Or can a cheaper yen mean economic progress for Japan? This is what we're going to talk about today. Japan is facing the worst currency crisis in decades, and you need to know what it would mean for you. Let's know the whole story. The United States dollar overpowered the yen when one US dollar became equal to 135 yen. This, in other words, was a psychological break point where the traders trading in yen gave up. The result was more than just the crisis yen was going through, since these traders sold off the yens in the forex market. And since yen was losing its value in the international market, the imports paid in yen were getting expensive for Japan. If Japan was earlier paying less yens to import products, then after the yen's fall, it had to pay more for the same quantity of products. This put more weight on the already plunging yen's value, creating pernicious difficulties for Japan as a whole. But why did the yen lose its value? In most cases, a currency loses value when the government prints more notes than the size of the economy. For example, let's say the entire economic size was worth 10 yen, while the total products in the country were only 10 pencils. 1 yen could buy 1 pencil, right? But now, if the government prints 10 more yen, while the pencils are the same, each pencil will cost 2 yen. This is how currency loses its value. However, the reason behind Japan's currency crisis is not that simple. One of the biggest reasons is Japan's loose currency policy. During these times of pandemic and economic stagnance, countries are facing inflation, and to tackle inflation, they are increasing the interest rates accordingly. It's the rule of economics. If you want to decrease inflation, you have to increase the interest rates. The rest of the world, led by the US Federal Reserve, is increasing interest rates to keep pace with inflation. Japan did exactly the opposite. Hence, inflation increased, decreasing the value of the currency to a precarious level. But why is Japan keeping the interest rate to zero? This you will know in a very few moments. This had a spillover effect on everything, including the traders' trust in the currency. Japanese yen is the world's third most traded currency, which means that traders do trade in yen against the US dollar. But when there were market sentiments that yen was losing value, traders sold off the yen they were holding. This hit Japan where it hurt the most. Since the traders flushed the market with yen, the supply increased, creating supply pressure. In other words, the market had an excess of yens, while no one wanted to buy them at all. When this happens, the currency or the product, which is in excess, loses value dramatically. This is what happened to the yen. But if Japan knows that lowering the interest rate to almost zero will bring about these crises, why is it doing so at all? Does this boost the economy? Actually, it does. Japan's strategy behind keeping the interest rate close to zero is ingenious, but equally risky. Let's know why it's doing so. When the interest rate is almost zero, borrowing or taking loans from banks becomes dramatically easier. People take loans to buy new cars and houses, and to consume products they earlier could not afford. This, in turn, increases the sales of cars, houses, and products, driving the economy like never before. If earlier the sales of cars and houses were locked, now by offering loans at almost zero interest rate, purchasing has been made easier. This is the strategy Japan is following, but this is costing Japan a currency crisis as a byproduct. Countries like the US, Australia, and Germany can't afford such a risk, and therefore they accordingly did increase the interest rate. However, if you see a comparative graph between these countries and Japan's interest rate, you will see that Japan is at the bottom, with almost zero interest rate. But a question arises here. Why wouldn't Japan itself buy back its own currency? This question is actually quite valid too. If Japan does buy back yen, it will remove the excess of yens from the market. This, in return, will have a demand pressure, increasing the value of the yen. However, the extent to which this temporary solution will work is not calculated. Furthermore, this will cost Japan much as well. To buy its low-value currency, Japan has to spend its foreign reserves. In return, it will get yens whose value is down. But if, after buying back, the price stabilizes, it will mean invaluable progress. But can the Japanese government intervene? It says that it will. However, no one really knows when this will happen. Perhaps the government is waiting for the time when yen will go to the lowest level. So what does it mean for the forex market? Something interesting to know. Since we know that borrowing is easier in Japan since the interest rate is almost zero, traders used to borrow yen. However, they couldn't invest directly due to the same reason of low interest rate, meaning the return will be low. What they did is they borrowed yen and then invested them in a high-yielding currency like the US dollar or Canadian dollar. On one hand, it was driving Japan's economy, while on the other hand, traders were making good earnings. In other words, no matter whether the yen increases its value or not, traders using this strategy could make enough money. However, since the yen is plunging every day and the government has intentions to intervene, it's creating uncertainty for traders. Consequently, the decline in the yen's value is making traders give up on the yen. This makes the yen an unattractive currency for traders, and eventually, high yen trade volume is also decreasing. But according to some experts, this can be a blessing in disguise for Japan in two ways. First, this crisis makes Japan a cheaper country, not only for the tourists, but also for the residents. The standard of living of the population has been boosted at the cost of the yen losing its value. However, in the long run, this can be beneficial for Japan. According to experts, Japan deliberately came to this situation where it can give all its facilities to its population. Once the population has them, it will reevaluate the yen, taking the economy back on track. Since taking loans is easier and costs almost nothing, the Japanese population is purchasing more commodities and amenities every day. This is boosting the sales and increasing the overall tax revenue generated within the country. On the other hand, since the yen is losing its value, the country is, comparatively, becoming cheaper to live in. This is beneficial for tourists who want to visit Japan, and equally beneficial for Japan itself. The tourists will exchange their currency and get more yen in return. Just a simple act like this triggers a whole cycle. This will increase demand pressure, increasing the value of the yen on the other hand. Furthermore, those yen will be spent in Japan. Therefore, Japan will generate revenue from its tourism. But something remains inevitable. No one knows whether this strategy will work or not. Also, when Japan will reap fruits and get out of this dire currency crisis is uncertain as well. Did you know that Japan, one of the most robust economies in Asia, is facing a currency crisis? Can you tell what it would mean to travel to Japan during this crisis when you have dollars to exchange? Let us know your opinion in the comment section right below. Also, if you want to watch more interesting videos like this one, then make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you love this video, then make sure to hit the like button and share the video with your friends. Until the next video, stay tuned.